What is up, everybody? It is Friday night, and we are here with Ask Christian Anarchist number 12. Yep, it is a Good Friday, and guess what? Republicans, be proud. Donald Trump has won the presidential candidacy. And now, all of a sudden, my YouTube thing that I had earlier to check y'all's live feed, it's blowing up in my ear, so now I know how annoying I sound. Anyways, welcome, Ask Christian Anarchist. This is the show. You get to come and ask your good old buddy CA here any kind of question you want, mostly the theological. You can also ask me personal questions, or you can ask me what my favorite color is. I honestly, at this point, we're just trying to spare some time, chillax, and kick back. It is Friday night anyways. It's time that you got back home from work or you got back home from school and you decided to chillax and decided to turn the TV on to watch Pokemon. And then after that, you thought, let's see what the Christian Anarchist is doing. And then boom, now you're here. Thank you. So anyways, if y'all want the link, y'all can message me about it. Y'all can email me for the link. I'll make sure to keep my email address open. It's askchristiananarchist@gmx.com. And also, if you got a question you want to submit and you can't come in, feel free to use the live chat in the video feed, and we'll get to you. Right now, we got one person in here named Sammy, but before we get to her, somebody asked a question from the out in a personal deal. So we'll ask that first, and then we'll get to Sammy. Oliver Hawkfield, a good buddy of mine, asked a simple question: what's your favorite anime and why is it your favorite? So far, we started this show with a non-religious question. Oliver, my favorite anime is a movie, and my favorite anime movie is Wolf Children. I just absolutely like the style that it went for. It's definitely a classic, like a classic as in like Hayao Miyazaki classic, and just so much about the concept of a woman who has been given two children that she has no idea how to take care of because she doesn't even want to take care of children personally. It's a whole new experience for her, but the fact that these children become wolves, like werewolves in a sense, as well. The struggle that she went from them being little babies all the way up into the high school to college years. I just found the whole idea a very family fun movie, and it was definitely something that, here I am, grown man, gonna say it, it was a tearjerker for me. So it was a movie that pulled a whole lot of emotions out of me. And I liked it because of that, because it's a movie that rarely does that. And for an anime to do it, ooh, you just earned an award in my book. But yes, that's my favorite movie, mostly favorite anime. Anyways, so thank you for your question, Ollie. And hopefully we can get to more questions in the live chat and hopefully more people coming in this hangout. So speaking of wonderful people in the hangout, we got a new comer into the hangout. Creeping me out with the skull face paint, all like a Michael Graves Day of the Dead, Dios de Muerta thing going on here. We got Sammy. Sammy, how you doing, girl?
Good, thank you.
I am doing pretty good. Now, is that you on the picture?
Yeah.
Did you do that yourself?
Yeah.
Well, good job. It's really good.
Yep. I had one like that, but it was like I was dressed up as a mime.
All right.
And this one I dressed up as a skull or thingy.
That's cool. So welcome to the show. It's good to have you on here. So any question you have in mind? Anything bragging at you?
What are your theories on evolution?
My theories on evolution. That's an interesting choice of words there. My thoughts on it is that I personally, for like natural selection, evolution, I disagree with it for personal reasons. Like, I don't think like it's just the selection is natural. I believe in what is called supernatural selection, that the things that happen for, say, the purposes of the mechanism that's prescribed in natural selection, there's a purpose, and it's just not a natural occurrence. There's a divine providence going on there. So I think every single aspect of what goes on in evolution is in itself a direct guidance from God, and continues to show in his divine providence over all of creation, from not just keeping things established, but also the changes and the uprises and the downfalls in it. So my main thoughts on evolution is that I believe that it's a process controlled by God, just like any uh, thing that's considered a natural process is uh, controlled by God, who is the sovereign ruler, in my opinion. So my main point falls on the doctrine of divine providence.
Oh, I was
Mhm.
thinking of something like, you know how in the Bible says that that Eve came from Adam's rib. I
Yes.
don't I don't quite believe that.
Hmm. Well, and it's something that I think people would definitely have a hard time believing at first, because one of the things that I used to struggle with that, and I thought that that Adam and Eve, they were just mm, they probably existed, but not in the same sense as just as the Bible describes. They evolved, and then they were like the male, like the representatives or something like that. I have my reasons, of course, for disagreeing with it, and hold more to the stance of B.B. Warfield and John Calvin within regards to this particular question. And my whole thing, if anyone's like curious about that kind of thing, I think we can accept this by faith. But I think the main implication of, say, the Adam and Eve part was a good thing that Matthew Henry, a Bible teacher, brought up a while back, is that there's a reason why Eve was made from, say, a rib. Do you want to know why?
Why?
He basically puts it as Eve could have been made from somewhere like anywhere on the torso or the head, but if that were to happen, then Eve would have been considered the authority over Adam. She could have been made anywhere from the leg downward. But if that were to happen, she would be considered less than Adam and would be literally under her feet and at his command. So he's made Eve from the rib because it's to be always at his side, it is to be his equal, and that they are to treat each other as equals. So there's no higher authority of Eve, and there's no higher authority of Adam. There is a complementarian equalness that plays in with both Adam and Eve, basically man and woman being the representation there. So
Oh,
that's kind of definitely why I hold to that view, because I think in a theological basis it even makes sense at that point.
yeah. In the shows they show um different kinds of in my school they showed that we came from the apes.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I don't think that, based upon what some people will say, I don't think that people. I mean, I know definitely the evolutionary scientists will disagree with the idea that we came from apes. What happens if we share a common ancestor with them? And I somewhat agree on that. I just think that the common ancestor is like like a common creator or something like that. That there's something that started, but Adam and Eve, we share. Basically, humans share a common designer with the animals, but um, the animals certainly share common ancestors with what's gone on through the process of evolution. I think that animals were the ones that went through the evolutionary process, and not humans per se.
And the cats have they have their own evolutionary process. Like,
Hmm.
you know how the cats that on his cousins came from like one ancestor, and they're from the femina family. So,
Hmm.
from what kind of family are we from?
From what kind of family are we from?
Uh-huh.
Well, I think that we come mainly from, and this is again my personal opinion, that I think we came from the human family of course. So I don't think that we necessarily had. It's possible that, like, say, what you call it, the humans or the Neanderthals or something like that. That could have been like how humans appeared, and now that's just what we in modern times refer to them as. But they could have been somewhat more. They could have been human as like we are, or just a little less acting concerning the um, nature and the time that was going on during that time period. But it is what it is. So I don't know too much about what happened in the past. So that's my only thing with it. I'm just based upon my understanding of the science so far and understanding that within my view of the Bible and the understanding of original sin and creation and man's importance to God. And I don't think even those that view that Adam and Eve did evolve, I don't consider them heretics or anything. I just think that we have disagreements, but as long as they can affirm original sin and all that, to me, it's a non-essential on that. So I think concerning that, you know, whether you believe we came from the ground or that you believe we came from an evolutionary process, as long as you affirm an Adam and Eve existing, the doctrine of original sin, um, and that with ultimately those two things, once that happens, that shows why we do need Jesus, why we need a Savior, because an act happened and we need a Savior.
Oh,
Hmm.
so what is your stand in gay marriage?
Um, that's a topic I really do don't wish to get involved if you don't mind. I can answer that off air, but um, for now, it's just something I don't wish to discuss on a public level.
Okay, I can respect that.
All right, thank you. But we'll get to some more questions if you got any more later on. We got someone in the live chat who asked Emmanuel T, and honestly can't even figure out. It's a Jewish star with a Christian's cross on it. So he's saying, Emmanuel T asks, who was hell created for? Hell was created for those who are obviously the sinners and the wicked. As we read in the Bible, you see the sheep and the goats. The goats are the ones that are made for uh, hell. So obviously, we're going to start seeing some problems there. With if you got some people that they think they can do what they want, they don't repent, and they just follow their own deal, they're going to be cast into everlasting fire. And it's sinners that mainly deserve this. Matthew 25:46, the goats are said to enter into everlasting punishment. Aionios kolassos, which is the Greek phrase for that does mean an everlasting punishment. And the righteous attain eternal life. So who is hell created for? It is created for the unjust, for the ungodly, and whenever the time passes, that is who will be residing in hell. So hopefully that answers your question. It was a simple one, and hopefully we could get more people in asking questions. So thank you for your question, Emmanuel. And of course, I'm going to regret this, but I know someone's going to be upset if I don't send him an invite. So, anyways, Sammy, you got any other questions?
Um, About the thing that you said about hell,
Hmm.
um, the I, I read in an article
Hmm.
that there was this place that there were put a lot of sinners that no matter how crowded it got, you always seem to be the only one in there. And do you know any other versions of hell?
Well, there are definitely several verses that describe hell, that's for sure. So there's Matthew 25, verse 46, Matthew 18:8, where it says, "Wherefore if thy hand or thy foot offend thee, cut them off and cast them from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life halt or maimed, rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be casted into everlasting fire." So there's again the description of the everlasting fire. Another passage is in Jude, where it talks about the people who went into the way of Cain, in other words, the way of sin, and basically says that what happened is they would then meet raging waves of the sea. They would be foaming out their own shame, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. So there's a description of the concept of hell there. And Revelation 14:11, and the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night who worship the beast in his image, and whoever receiveth the mark of his name. Revelation 20:10 talks about demons, and the devil that deceived them, the saints, was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. So there are several places in the Bible where we see mentions of hell. It won't. Sometimes, if you use the King James version, it'll use the word hell, but sometimes it doesn't use the phrase of hell. It uses, let's say, you get the NASB or in modern translation, you'll see words like Sheol or Hades. Hades and Sheol are the Hebrew and Greek words to describe a place of the dead. It's a good compartment where you have the the land of the righteous, otherwise known as Abraham's bosom, and the land of the unjust and the realm of the wicked. And this is a place to keep them separate for their place. So, are you familiar with the story of Lazarus and the rich man?
No, I'm not familiar.
In the story, you have Lazarus is a poor man who is he doesn't have a home. He's just survives on scraps, and a rich man who is described as someone who is very sinful and greedy, and he's living the life. They both die, and they end up at their place. Lazarus, because he was faithful, ends up in the land of the righteous. But because of the rich man and his sin, he ended up going to hell, or not hell, the land of uh, the wicked, the ungodly. And so he's able to see Abraham comforting Lazarus, and he's asking, to send an angel or a messenger to them, to his family, so that they may believe and not be in the place that he's at. He's like, they have Moses and the prophets, let them listen to them. And he begs them to send a messenger. He's like, if they can't believe what Moses and the prophets wrote, then what makes you think they're going to believe a simple angel or something that just divinely comes to them? And so you see this whole separation, and you get this image of what Hades or Sheol is like. And if you read later on in the New Testament, it says that death and Hades is going to be casted into the lake of fire. In other words, no one's in hell, in my opinion, but they will be as long as they continue in wickedness, because they will go to Hades or Sheol, and then when the time comes, they will be casted into the lake of fire, because death and Sheol is going to be casted there.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
mhm. So yes, definitely would focus on looking into like what Sheol and what Hades means.
What do you think angels look like?
I don't have any clue or concept of what angels would look like. I mean, I've seen people try to do depictions of it before, but honestly, I think that it's impossible for us to capture their imagery. So that would be what I would have to say on that particular instance.
Because I've seen most of the people think it's like a beautiful person with wings. But in the Bible, I read that it's like a ring with all eyes on it. And on the other one, it was like a beast with three heads of three different animals and with the tail of a snake. And on another one, it was like a phantom thing.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, like I said, normally I just try to ignore some of the imagery that I see because, I mean, even like the images of Jesus, for example, I just don't like how some of them are depicted because there's always a change in how this happens. For example, Jesus, let look at him for a sec. Uh, some movies have him depicted as a white man with long hippie hair.
Mhm.
Um, recently, now we're trying to get more accurate. He's getting shorter hair, which is very accurate. He was basically in the Middle East, and so if God is going to be God manifest in the flesh in the Middle East, where he's at in the Jerusalem area, well, he's going to look like a Middle Easterner, and so he's going to have a bit of a brown skin. He's going to have short hair due to the conditions. And based upon what I'd seen in the text of the biblical text, he was not really reviewed as someone who was good looking either. He wasn't like uh, this handsome daredevil figure. He's basically someone who there was a reason why he was picked upon and was criticized, and it wasn't just because of his teachings. It was also because of like it's an ugly peasant. It was that form that he took a very humble form to take on the form of a servant type. That he uh, came as the Messiah who was unexpected.
Intriguing.
Hmm. What is up, Mr. Cameron?
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to get more situated here. I just booted up my computer, so I'm going to join the call from
Just booted up your computer. All right.
there. Yep.
Let us know when you join, man. All right. So we're gonna try to also get Emmanuel in here because for some reason I can't tag him or message him privately. So we'll see how that eventually turns out. But anyways, let me try to look at one question that he did mention in a live chat. How is Jesus the Messiah? Right now, I don't have enough time at this point, so I'll say just look it up. That's what I'll say. Anyways, just like look in the Old Testament to compare like the prophecies he fulfills, and then uh, try testing it to the New Testament. Right now, I can't really think of anything at the moment, so maybe get back to me on that, and I'll be able to pull up some stuff for you. All right. Just had to answer a text real quick, so sorry about that long pause there for a second. All right. Also, before we continue on with the questions, feel free to check out the blog website. In the description box, we have On our website, spirituallyhonestministries.com, we've started a new project known as the Free Gospel Tracts. And so far, we already have 2 of them. We have our the Good News newspaper tract that you can get. So you pretty much make this a page and you just hand it out as if it's a 1-page newspaper. And currently we have due to the recent political deal, we have the Donald Trump tract. So you can get the gospel tract there. Either just save these images on your computer, or if you want a personal one, for example, like we have a 2x4 picture tracts. That way you can have them small and just hand them out to people in a small format. You can ask for those by emailing me at askchristiananarchist@gmx.com. So make sure to check those out. Cameron, glad you joined us back in this room.
Yes. Yeah, I did actually have a question. What are your views on eschatology?
My views on eschatology is I have no views. That is literally that is my answer. And why great, I'm trying to get comfortable and already I'm getting attacked by my own furniture. Is that based upon what Jesus says, is that no one will know the time when the Son of Man returns, or know that when the second coming happens. And as the biblical text would say, that not even Jesus is said to know when that time comes, but only God the Father knows. So I'm not going to try to claim some knowledge on certain things that I don't have. If I'm going to make any claims, I need to at least make sure that they are scriptural and that they are things that I can at least have a good amount of assurance on. But concerning eschatology, I don't think on any view, regardless, that I can have a firm eschatological view on something. So that is why I don't engage in much of the eschatological debates, because I think they're worthless. I think if we're going to be brothers and sisters in Christ, we should just have a conversation and see where that goes.
Sure, yeah. That's fine. I agree. I don't have any hard opinions on it either. I was just kind of asking, just because I have encountered that question a decent amount lately.
Well, all right. I really needed to drink a Coke or something. Getting a little drowsy here tonight. All right, but I'll pull through. John, the naturalist. John, how can we debunk your naturalism today? Hello? John, if you're trying to talk, I don't think your mic is working. Can you type in the side chat? Oh, so new. Okay, he said he's got a new mic that he's trying out. Okay. Try configuring and checking the settings to make sure that your mic is plugged in on the Google Hangout feed. Just click on the little cogwheel machine thing, and then try doing that. If it doesn't work after that, just try logging out and coming back in.
Wait, you guys use mics?
I'm using a mic.
Well, I don't use a mic.
Oh, what are you using?
I don't know, I just talk through my tablet, that's all.
Ah, well, that's good.
Yeah, I don't need to have a computer and all those things.
yeah, some of the what we're saying is we got a side chat that we for some of the computer users we were able to like text and chat in there. So hopefully we'll be able to get something going there.
Yeah, that will probably be a good idea.
Yeah, but yeah, John, I'm still not hearing you. So
Maybe he's in there or something.
mhm. Try try heading out of the room and then coming back in. All right. Yeah, we'll do that while you get yourself time to uh, work on your whole thing. All right. So someone said that already getting some haters today. We got the book in my thumbnail was trash. Honestly, that Holy Anarchist by Mark Von. Oh, so that's what that is. I had no absolute idea that was actually a book. I just thought it was just some logo that somebody made for their own deal. I didn't know that was actually a book. Huh. Well, now I know. Well, hopefully, I don't know. Maybe next time I can start working on like actual decent original background. Maybe that'll help out in the future. All right, our boy John is back. John, try testing your mic out now. Okay, we still got nothing.
Perhaps turn the volume up.
Well, the thing is, like, he would be able to be heard at this point still. So I don't know, just like if you got a recording software or something like that to record yourself on the microphone, try that first. And then if it works, then we know at least the computer is logged in to your system, and then see if you can try focusing on whatever you can do for here. Because sometimes you have to re-register your microphone into the Google Hangout system. So it's depending on if you get a new mic. So we'll keep going to the next person and see if we get back to you. All right. So the 4 people that are still watching the program live, it's good to see you guys. So just keep sending your questions, and of course we're trying to get some people in here. So let's do this. All right. Alrighty, I'm just going to add some friends of mine so that way we can still get some questions in. Yes, if you've been in here several times and we've had nice conversations in the past, you can be on a reserved list. So, Sammy, since we've had a short people, you're definitely been the one that's definitely going to be asking a good bit of questions today.
Yeah.
So, oh wait, what the? Wait, before we get to you real quick, we got someone from Cedric Vedati. Favorite anarchist thinker? I don't have one because I'm not an anarchist. I'm a Republican conservative. And before you say anything, I do not use my name, Christian Anarchist, to imply I'm an actual political anarchist. Instead, I am an anarchist because no matter what I preach, whether it be the gospel to atheists or my own theological views on things to Christians, it seems I'm getting attacked by both sides. So that's why I'm called the Christian Anarchist. I don't have an anarchist thinker that I view as my favorite. Now, Sammy, back to you.
I'm sorry if this has off topic, but do you know any mics that can be plugged into a tablet? The Carol one, the Carol Q type.
I don't think I know any mics that like can be plugged into a tablet. The only thing that you get close to is like a headphone type of mic, like an earbud mic. Because you have some of those like Skull Candy that you plug in and they have a little thing in the side. It's clickable because you could turn your volume up and down. and when you hold it up to your mouth, it basically is your microphone. So some people, like when they're in phone calls, they use that as their mic and such.
What about the
Oh,
Oh, there he goes.
did it work?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh my God. Yes.
Well, and we'll get to you up next. But what were you going to say, Sammy?
What about the karaoke type of microphones?
Why won't they carry that type of microphones?
No, the karaoke.
The karaoke. Well, I guess if a karaoke mic has like if there's a karaoke mic out there that has like a plug-in jack, like for earbud, it's in the same jack as earbuds, then I guess that can work as well.
Like I got a microphone holding here.
Well, some of the mics like that normally have to like be on a computer based upon what I know. But like I said, if you want a microphone for a tablet, it has to have a plug-in jack that's similar to that you would find on earbuds or regular auxiliary cords. So you need one of those kind of plug-in jacks attached to the end of the cord of your microphone.
Oh, thank you.
No problem. So tonight was a special technological episode where we got into the technology of things, ladies and gentlemen. So, John the Naturalist, how are you doing?
Good. I actually was going to ask you about politics, what you thought about the Trump election. Then I heard you say that you're a conservative Republican. I am as well. So I assume you probably just held your nose and voted for Trump, but you weren't enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that Trump really that I think he needs to work on his character a bit. Because the guy, I don't agree, and plus he hasn't had any political experience yet. I mean, like, oh, Ronald Reagan was an actor, but he had political experience as well. He was a governor, for crying out loud. I would vote for Arnold Schwarzenegger because he was a person who has political experience at least. But Trump hasn't had that. However, the one thing that's important is that he does pick someone who does know the politics, and I think one of those people is Mike Pence. And I think that can get him a good bonus with what he's doing. And he's pretty much the Republican that's kind of gone at not just winning some Republicans, but he's also managed to tick off some Republicans as well. I mean, I'm sometimes not okay with what he does, and I was originally voting for Cruz, but I mean, if you look at how he's definitely a people person. He speaks for the people. Even though he is like, this rich, wealthy type of person, he's very bold and he's very brash. And whenever, for example, the Orlando shooting happened at the gay nightclub, Clinton pretty much just tried to focus on saying, well, ISIS is just ISIS. We'll try our best to, end things with them. But Trump was more direct, and he was pretty much saying not only would going to take on ISIS, but we're going to make sure that Islam doesn't get its reign or its control in America. He managed, because of that, to get a good part of the gay population to vote for him on that particular subject. So I don't want to hear any instance of the bigotry, because there was an event called Gays for Trump, which within 24 hours of its announcement of selling tickets, it sold out. So
right, and I think it's even worse with the Orlando shooting. Hillary Clinton not only didn't address the actual problem with radical Islam, she actually lectured the American people on xenophobia. So it was even worse than
this might be me being the idiot here. What is xenophobia? This is a new phrase for me.
Xenophobic? I'm pretty sure that's per religion.
Per religion.
Yeah, like being like scared of a religion, I guess.
Oh wow.
Or no, sorry. I mean, it's up from other countries. Irrational. It says intense or irrational dislike of fear from other countries.
I see.
Which I guess he was American, so maybe that word doesn't necessarily apply. But essentially, she lectured us on being like Islamophobic in a sense.
Yeah, well, that's sometimes that'll happen. So, did that answer your question, or was there any more of my thoughts on Trump that you wanted on this?
No, I completely agree. And whenever you said conservative Republican, I automatically assumed you voted you liked Cruz, which is also true. So obviously, there's pieces of Trump that are conservative, which are fine. But I mean, what do you think about like this regarding like his slightly anti, more nationalistic trade, anti-free trade, more nationalistic focused?
Well, concerning the that, I mean, I don't have too much knowledge or experience on like the economic part. I mean, mostly I've been studying like as a person who just studies the concept of Christianity, defending the faith, and studying other various religions as well. Like recently, I started trying to get into Islam and to study its doctrines. But concerning the whole economic trade thing, based upon what I'd seen, I hadn't seen much success with some parts of the economy with the Democrats, but normally it's been with the Republicans that apparently I've heard there's been success on. So I'm just putting my trust on that. But until if anyone wants to send me some information on that, I can make that a short study, but I'd have to see like information either from both sides or a non-biased source.
Right. Yeah. I think what it ultimately comes down to is what's best for the American people, and the traditional conservative view is that free trade is best for America. So I think Trump tapped into maybe that not being the case because we've lost so many jobs to Mexico and China. So he's kind of bringing a more nationalistic approach opposed to multicultural trade. But yeah, that's basically all I had, though.
All right. Well, thank you for your question. We have Vincent Jones in here, a good friend of mine, and we were part of the the Secular Furry and the Christian Otaku and Secular Furry podcast, and we're gonna try to see if we can get that scheduled again. Hopefully, we can get some guest appearances on there as well, not just religious wise, but also even for a good old interesting case. Even get the furries celebrities on there, so that's gonna be quite interesting. All right, Cameron, how are you doing?
Yeah, I am doing well. I'm trying to get this pop-out chat on the side because without the video. Wait,
I'm hearing some noise in the background.
Yeah, I'm in a SJW chat right now. It's a
oh my
space.
Goodness, an SJW chat.
Oh, I haven't revealed my identity yet, so I'm still an SJW according to them. I'm actually, because I'm a free thinker, since I tip my fedora to everyone, I am, but I identify with the Q in LGBTQ because because I question everything, but within that, I do have a question about. So would you say that since you are a theological determinist, being a Calvinist, in one sense, you think freedom's compatible with determinism,
right?
But would you say that would you be one to say that free will isn't even possible, or given God's foreknowledge or causation, or how would you normally go about that?
I would normally go about the idea that concerning free will, if it's a possibility. Of course, before we go on that road, I would have to ask you to define what you mean by free will in that case, because I agree with free will depending on the definition.
Yeah, I would say trying to be kind of I would say soft libertarianism, which would say that the principle of alternative possibilities is only needed occasionally. It's not always on the table.
Mm. All right, so I mean, concerning the aspect of the will, the aspect of if we're free in that sense, I don't agree with that, and I don't think that's going to be a possibility. But I think concerning, of course, the decisions themselves, that's the only thing I think would be the only possibility, is that we're able to make decisions, and we make them all the time, and we're conscious. As long as that consciousness exists, then so does our decisions, because we are consciously making the decisions and we are currently aware of them.
Yeah. I guess I would kind of I tend to think compatibilism isn't a viable position. I don't know if libertarianism is, given God's causation, though. So I would say that it's an open question for me. But well, another anarchist joined the call. But hi, Alexia, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I go by Alex.
Oh, okay. Hi, Alex.
What's up, Alex?
Hi, CA.
Hey. And also to point out to some of the viewers, I wish my camera was on, but it was an interesting day for me. Why? A real man did what a real man did. I went out and wore my pink shirt. Yes, I said it. Now we got that random fact out the way. Alexia, or you want to go by the name Alexia from the YouTube, from your name, or do you want to go by Alex? Hello?
Your mic isn't on.
Hang on. All right, so guess we'll move on from there. Definitely, I'm gonna have to cut today's episode short, by the way, because I have to do some. I have to get ready for some food. Dinner's gonna be brought on. I'm gonna start watching a movie, and hopefully gonna listen to a new radio show that I've been listening to, and check out the music on there. Good rock radio station for the internet. That's the weird thing I've been finding myself catching up on these days, is these rock radio stations that you can listen to online. Hey, don't. I don't do any of that stuff. I don't go to listening to a car radio. I just stay in the room all day, blah, 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 listening to radio. Heck, if I wanted to, I could just have food delivered to me. They have that nowadays. So, anyways. So until we can get Alex or Alexia to work on the if the mic works. I don't know if Alexia's driving or not, but well, Art left the call, so now it's back to uno.
Oh no, oh no. One on one.
Yeah. So you got another question?
Wait. I have one question, but I forgot. Are there any questions in the live chat?
Fortunately, not. I only see some of them saying, "Hey, what is your Hangout thing?" And I said my Hangout thing is, well, it's what you're looking at. That's pretty much it. So let me see if finally I can. I don't know. I don't understand why I can't type his name in. But because otherwise I would send him a personal invite.
Wait. What do you think that happens to our bodies or souls if we have any after we die?
What happens to our bodies or souls after we die? Well, I mean, obviously, I believe there's concerning the bodies, they're just going to be what happens on Earth, and our spirits and souls are going to. Oops, there's my problem there. Concerning the spirit and the soul, they're going to either go to heaven or they're going to go to hell. So that's ultimately what my view on that is.
Because I thought you believe in reincarnation or the afterlife. I thought you believed in the reincarnation or afterlife.
No, I don't believe in the reincarnation afterlife aspect.
Because it says that you're Christian and they believe in that sort of thing.
Well, wait, which one believed in the reincarnation aspect?
There was this Christian dude that I was talking to lately.
Mm-hmm.
Now we don't talk anymore. He used to believe in reincarnation and that some people had like an afterlife or something.
And he was a Christian when he believed this?
Yeah.
Well, of course, I would ask where in the Bible it would say that, because I never see any mention about that in the biblical text, that the only thing regarding the afterlife is that there's either the reward for faith or there's the punishment aspect.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What is theologist?
Theologist?
What is that?
Well, I haven't heard of that word. You mean theology?
Yeah.
Theology is a science of some sort. In a sense of not a natural science. It's a science in the sense that it's a study of, what ology means. And the theo means God. And so it is the study of God. And that is what theology is. So when we're looking into theology, we're studying not just God, but also the religion that incorporates to that God. So in Christian theology, we look into the doctrines of the Christian God and the Christian religion. So we have all these different categories of things, such as soteriology, which gets into the realm of the salvation, the doctrine of salvation, and what all we can know about it and study it. The same for eschatology, which is the study of the end times. We talked about that a bit earlier, which is why you asked what my eschatological views were. But you have all these different views, and you can kind of really get, if you want a textbook definition of like things in theology and understand theology like at its major level, I would recommend a systematic theology book, because if you go into bookstores, Christian bookstores specifically, and look for a Christian theological systematic theology book, you're going to see them explain these doctrines in detail, and that ultimately is what theology is at its maximum. When you study the Word of God, that's pretty much what you come to. And finally, we managed to get a hold of Emmanuel. He messaged me, so I will send him the link. And then we got this guy apparently in the live chat saying Calvinism is hardly biblical, but a latter theological development. Don't know how to phrase this as a question. I would just simply point out that probably a latter theological development. Are you a Roman Catholic? Are you What exactly are you? That's my question. Because if you are a Protestant, someone who believes in salvation and that we're justified by faith alone, then that's also a later theological development. All right, so he is an atheist. So no, this is the first time I'm seeing an atheist that's had the objection with the the Calvinism thing. Normally, forgive me, because normally I get people that would say that stuff, but they're Christians that are just anti-Calvinistic. But yeah, my material on Calvinism, I wrote a whole. If you want my view on Calvinism, I basically have on my website a case for Calvinism, which is a very long. Hey, Emmanuel, you there?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Shalom, guys.
So you got a lot of background noise in your area.
Yeah.
All right. Well, whenever you're not, huh?
No problem right now. Okay.
All right. Well, whenever you're not talking, just for the sake of the viewers, that way we can make sure everyone else can be heard. Mute your mic because we need to. It's definitely very loud on there. So.
No problem.
All right. So, do you have a question?
I'm on the question. Well, I don't know if it's considered a question, but what are your views with this whole seventh heaven thing?
Seventh heaven thing?
Yeah, like how I studied in the Bible and the Torah that there might be seven heavens, but there's more than one.
Well, I haven't heard of a seven heavens thing. If anything, I think I'll have to check out with maybe Dr. Michael Heiser. He's most likely probably have studied this specific topic then. But as far as the seven heavens, that's a new thing for me. I've never heard of that one before. So could you explain what the seven heavens are?
Well, in my understanding, the seven heavens are the levels of spirituality and growth that we get. The seventh one being the highest one that we can get of growth. The first heaven is where they begin, like where you're saved, you're just there, you just stand there, that's it. You don't grow anything. No spirituality, no growth in the Bible, just that. And then the rest is where you grow.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess that would be interesting in regards to the heaven aspect, like you're already in the afterlife, but I believe in the doctrine of sanctification. I believe people grow spiritually and mature spiritually while they're in that part. But I can't find anywhere in the Bible itself, at least within the Protestant 66 book canon, about it. I know that in Judaism it's mentioned in the Talmud, in the second book of Enoch, as well as possibly even the third book of Enoch. We see mentions of these seven heaven aspects. But both of these books of Enoch, as well as the Talmud, are books that I wouldn't be considered canon for the Christian scriptures. So, based upon that, I don't have any reason to base it off of, unless someone were to find somewhere within the 66 book canon. Which, I mean, I think that there's some pretty interesting stuff that we find there, like that the early Jews, the early Israelites, did believe in a flat Earth that was covered by a dome for the surface above it. And that was just a view that they held to due to the cosmology of the whole ancient Near East. But at the same time, the whole theological implication that we are to gain from it is that God is the sovereign creator. Anytime you see those supposed flat Earth verses, the whole point is simply that God is the creator. That's what all the underlying meaning is when you see God created or that God rules above or something like that is within the context of that text. So I don't know, the seven heaven thing could be true, it could not be. But until I look more into that, I'm not really I don't have much of an opinion on it since, like I said, it's a very new concept to me.
So, do you guys have any questions for me? Specifically on the symbol that I have on.
I would assume you're a Messianic Jew, I assume?
No, I'm a Christian.
All right, well...
But in my church, we teach these things, saying that the Star of David is a true symbol of God, and we use it.
So y'all use
We use a lot of the Hebrew in my church.
All right, well, that sounds interesting right there.
Yeah. I'm a Pentecostal. We're by the church of Reverend B.R. Hicks.
All right, right on. All right, so we're going to go, thank you for your question. We're going to then go to Sammy, but before we do that, we want to get on to the, what Joka Savayan was saying, and may have butchered the name there, what he was saying about Calvinism. Yes, Calvinism is a later theological development, but it is a theological development as a response to the corruption of the Roman Catholic Church, as well as the Eastern Orthodox, in my opinion. So it is a call for the justification of following biblical doctrine that doesn't steer clear from the Bible. So doctrine needs to stay to the Bible. And we had people focusing on, you basically paid for this little envelope that basically gets you away from hell and to go towards heaven. Martin Luther found this disgusting, so he then started the Reformation with his 95 Theses and basically laid out the general concepts of what Protestantism is. Then you have John Calvin, Zwingli, and all them jumping on the same bandwagon, and they're interpreting Scripture for themselves. In other words, man finally has control to read the Bible on his own and to try to understand it. And these were good scholars too, but of course they have their differences that are non-essentials. But Calvinism teaches its view, but it also has views on the essentials, such as the concept of an eternal security, the concept that Christ is the Messiah, he's the Savior. You have God who is in control, and he's not an open theist or a Pelagian type. So you have all these different views when he's on the essentials, and any other different matter concerning the theological development is irrelevant. So that's all I'll say on that specific part. Sammy, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, and I don't know what the heck just happened. Something just flashed on my deal, on my computer screen. But we're going to make this the last question since we're kind of low on audience today, and it seems that several people are not on as much these days. So we're going to get a question from you, and then I guess we'll get one more last question from Emmanuel if he has one. And then if anyone wants to ask one more last question, I will try to make room for that if you're watching and wanted to put a question in the live chat. So, Sammy, go ahead. Do you have a question?
I got two questions.
Okay.
One is, are you an extreme Christian person?
Am I an honest Christian person?
No, a extreme Christian person.
A string?
Extreme.
Stream. What do you mean by that?
Like, you're a radical Christian.
Oh, extreme. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people would call me extreme, but I don't know. I guess that's up to the person to decide for themselves about me. I mean, I'm a fundamentalist, but I'm a fundamentalist in the sense of that I hold the fundamentals, which is originally what the term meant. I hold the basic essential doctrines of, say, biblical inerrancy, the Trinity, and all that's whole goody, goody, goody. So in that sense, I'm a fundamentalist. But as far as some views, I mean, people know I'm an evolutionary creationist. Um, People know I am a Calvinist. People know where my stance is on certain other theological positions. I've been criticized by King James onlyists because I affirm that we can get essential Christian truths based upon other translations of the Bible, as long as, of course, they are true and honest to the Greek and the Hebrew. So I've had people calling me liberal, and then I've had people calling me a hate-mongering person who worships a sadistic God, basically. So that would just have to depend on what your opinion is of me once you get to know me.
And my other question is, what are you like? What do you think about atheist people?
I think atheist people, they're not like threats to society, as some people will try to point out. I do think they are lost, and I think that they are in the current state as reprobates, and that I believe that they need to be saved, and that's why we preach we are called to preach the gospel. That's why I go around making tracts and leaving tracts at places in hopes that someone who is struggling with unbelief or anything for that matter gets the tract, and that they understand and receive the gospel. Or if I'll talk to someone, I'll preach to them and hopefully get someone saved and witness to somebody. But so we shouldn't hate them. We shouldn't treat them with any anger or hostility. We should treat them kindly, and that's exactly what my view is. We treat them kindly. We treat them like good neighbors. We love them, and we invite them to hear the good news.
And also, if a extreme Islamic person marries a extreme Christian person, will they have a big argument? A lot of arguments, I mean.
I think if one is an extreme Islamic person, definitely the thing is going to be heated from the Muslim apologists, because sometimes the extreme side on there, they do take more of the fundamental approach to what the religion teaches. And one of the things is the Sharia, which they believe that apostates or infidels are to be killed, especially if, say, they're against the religion or they're mocking the religion. I've seen people like David Wood on his show. He's had callers call in the show, say because he's not a Muslim, he will kill him and hang him. One person literally just called up one time and said that they would talk, you're talking about Jesus? And they're like, yes, what is your question, sir? It's like, my question is, I'm going to hang you like they hung your prophet on the cross, you son of a gun. And so some people will be just very dogmatic and very argumentative and will just insult to death threats if some of the conflict gets that way. But so that's why I would focus on the conservative, like just regular fundamental types that sometimes will be inconsistent, but at least these people debate and can reason on a level. They don't have to resort to death threats or anything. They just focus on the debating in the scholarly manner. So it's more reasonable, and it's how you actually get information out there about what your beliefs are.
Oh, like, ISIS, the problem we're having with ISIS,
Yeah.
people assume that just because they're Muslim, the Muslim religion is about hate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't be that way.
Right. I mean, the thing is, it's not necessarily about hate, but it is a political deal where if you read the Quran, specifically Surah 9, which is the last surah that, well, one of the last surahs, the next one just only has like 3 or 4 ayahs, and it's really irrelevant, but the last one that's written is Surah 9, and they contain some of the most violent passages in the Quran, such as kill the non-believers, kill the polytheists, uh, kill those who are atheists, and that's what the Muslims use, and it verifies it because all those passages about peace and all that stuff is abrogated according to the abrogation law in the Quran, meaning that if a surah was written after an earlier surah and they contradict, what you do is you abrogate, basically ignore the teaching of this surah and focus more on the surah that is after it. So, and the last one that's written that gives commands is the violent Surah 9. So there are Muslims that are justified in this, and they can back it up also by going to their hadith, which especially comes from Sahih Muslim and Sahih al-Bukhari.
Oh,
So it's not necessarily a hatred religion, but it is a political and a war type of religion. And that's why there's the caliphates, which is, those are mentioned in the text of the Quran and the hadiths, and it's pretty much a conquering system. If Islam is the majority and it's basically the presidential deal, then they get to impose Sharia law. But then there's the whole way of trying then to infiltrate and to conquer other nations, that Islam gets spread that way. A good video I would recommend on this is from David Wood, which is stealth jihad, or the 3 stages of jihad, basically. And you get into, throughout the Quran, that how jihad ultimately goes from the concept of people ultimately being, gentle and self-defense, and then ultimately going to conquer and killing those who don't believe their faith. And ultimately, that's what ISIS is trying to do on a fundamental level. They're actually bold about it. So that's the one difference between them and other Muslims.
oh. Like, I don't like some, like, religious people that take their religion way, way too far.
Mm-hmm.
That sometimes it ruins their families, and sometimes even marriages and all. Like, I know this couple that the husband was a Christian fanatic and will use the word God every single time, and he will control his kids by not letting them do like normal everyday child things, like trick or treating.
Mm-hmm.
He will not let them do that because he will think it's satanic.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally broke his family apart.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on that is that someone should not have their theological ideas divide them on their family issue. But honestly, at this point, for example, in the Bible, we're told that sometimes Jesus came to bring a sword, and he's put a variance against families. And that's because if some people profess Christ, some people are going to reject them as a result of that. Basically showing that there are people that are going to sometimes reject you and persecute you and disown you because of what you hold to, and that's to be expected. But if your ideology is causing harm, I think that can be a problem for the family as well, is if it starts, literally harming somebody. But, I mean, I don't think I can comment more on that one. Anyways, you okay if we go to Emmanuel? Because we gotta try to wrap this one up. All right, so Emmanuel, you there? Hello? Emmanuel, you there?
Sorry, something happened with my mic.
That's cool.
Okay. So my question, I have like about 3 that I have so far. If that's okay with you.
What were you saying?
I have like about 3 questions. If that's okay with you.
Are they quick? Are they quick questions? Okay. Emmanuel?
Oh,
Are they quick questions, Emmanuel?
uh, depends on how you answer it.
Okay. Let's try the first one because we literally got 15 minutes left, so let's see how we can do it.
Okay. What are your thoughts on Israel?
My thoughts on Israel is I think it's a holy land, and I wish to visit it one day.
Me too.
Mhm.
Hmm. Do you do you honestly believe this whole concept that Trump could actually help or destroy America?
I'm sorry, repeat that one again?
Do you believe Trump will help America or destroy it even more than
I
it already
personally think
is?
Trump will help America.
And do you believe the whole concept that God is with the Westboro Baptist teaching God hates people known as the fags, the Jews, and others? Do you honestly believe that?
Repeat that question again?
Do you believe God hates people?
I believe God does hate people, as it states in Psalms 5:5.
Like, give me an example.
All right, as I stated within, you see the book of Psalms in chapter 5, verse 5, where it says, "The foolish shall not stand in thy sight. Thou," which is David referring to God, "thou hatest all workers of iniquity." And we see several places within the Bible where we see God hates those who are sinners, God hates those who work iniquity. And that is to be expected from a just and righteous God who does not put up with unjust sin. And so that's where we have to get into the concept of that God hates those who are sinners and unjust and wicked, and God loves his people, especially those who are in the covenant with them. So, such as what we get with the Jews in the Old Testament, who are in the covenant with him, the Israelites, and then for the New Testament, the covenant with those who are his believers, those who are born again.
And what is the concept with John 3:16? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth
Mhm.
shall have everlasting life.
Right.
And
And here's the thing: are you familiar with the Koine Greek?
I'm familiar with Greek, yes.
All right. So Koine Greek that's used here in this passage, the word for world, cosmos. Now, cosmos, believe it or not, has 8 different definitions for it. And one of the definitions of, because John uses the word world more than any New Testament author, and in the way that it's being used here, as A.W. Pink, Bible teacher and scholar, had pointed out, is that the Greek context that it's used is referring to the world of the believers. And we definitely can see the context of that with reference to whosoever believeth, which is pas ho pistuon, which is the believing ones. So with regards to that, when we're looking at the world here, it is that God so loved the world of the believers, the world of the godly, those who are in him, that he sent his only begotten Son, that so the believing ones should not perish, but have everlasting life. Now, people, of course, are going to disagree with me on that, because that's just my view that I hold to it as a Calvinist. But that is my view concerning the scripture in light of its original Greek language.
Well, we all look at the Bible in different ways. There's different types of churches, like the Baptists, the Protestants, the Lutherans, so on and so forth. We all have our different views on it, our different interpretations. Like in my church, we interpret it with the Hebrew mainly.
Yeah, if you want another example of where you can find this kind of context used of world, look at John 1:29, John 3:17, John 6:33, John 12:47, and 1 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 9, as well as 2 Corinthians 5:19. Those are passages I can leave you to look up and examine yourself on, and you be the judge based upon what I told you. And so those were the 3 questions. Thank you for your questions. And our questionnaire guy said that he'd be right back for a smoke, but we will try to answer your question, because you can then just check back on this recording, because it is live and it will be back on air as soon as we're done with it. But question is, have I read the fundamentals? I have not. Personally, I think it would be hard for me to read it because it's basically a bunch of volumes of a book, basically a bunch of volumes, 12 volumes of essays written by several very interesting key figures, like you got Thomas Spurgeon and B.B. Warfield. I haven't read it, and I really want to, but I wouldn't go so far as to try my best to collect the entire books. Instead, I would prefer rather to just get the individual essays themselves if I can find them online. So if I can get The Deity of Christ that Benjamin B. Warfield wrote, if I can get Thomas Spurgeon's Salvation by Grace, then that would be something for me to look into. But until then, I have to just go off the other books that I have. I still haven't even finished some of my other books. I got The Reason for God by Tim Keller. I've got the, what was it? The Bondage of the Will and the Freedom of the Will. One of them by Jonathan Edwards, and the other is by Martin Luther. And definitely got a couple other more books to take a look at. So I gotta, before I decide to go getting any more like actual contemporary reading or studying material, I would have to finish what I already have in my library. So, anyways, yeah, this has been the that's all the time we have for now. We're gonna have to cut this short, like I said earlier. Kind of also one of the reasons why I had to do the hangout and end it a little more earlier than usual. So, anyways, this has been the Christian Anarchist. You guys have been a wonderful audience, and we'll see you next Friday. But until then, Shalom Aleichem, peace be upon you, because I wish that upon you. Have a great day.